Hey everybody, it's time for a brake service on the ZX-4RR. Um, it's been about a year and I have worn out the brake pads. You can see the wear marker on the outboard right pad is all gone. So I bought another set of OEM pads because I like how they feel. And I've drained the brake fluid from the front system, bagged up the lines so they don't drip, and got both calipers off. Now, this is what we're starting with. Every year I like to take apart my calipers and flush my fluid. You'll see that, the pistons get kind of crusty, they get dirty, they just accumulate a bunch of stuff. And, it's just good practice to check things out when you're going out on the track and risking your life on the street. Brakes are important. And so keeping up with them is a really smart thing. So the end result we want is this right here. This one's already done. Everything's spick and span clean. New pads, everything's been shined up and cleaned. But I'm gonna take you through the process of this one. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna remove these two pins, get the pads out of the caliper. Okay, we've got the pins out of the caliper. We removed the pads. You can see again, this brake pad is on its final legs. There's not much left there. And the wear indicator is almost completely gone. The other one has a little bit left, about half a millimeter left on the wear indicator, maybe 1 millimeter of pad left. So it was time. Now, I want to point out on these pins, you'll notice they're black, probably like black oxide or some kind of coating. Resist the urge to clean these with Scotch-Brite or any kind of abrasives, because that coating is important in preventing any kind of corrosion and allowing the pins to have free movement on the pads, meaning the pads have to slide on these, inboard and outboard, as the caliper clamps down on your rotor. So just clean these. I like to use either S100 or some denatured alcohol and just some towels, and they'll clean up just nice. I even use a little bit of elbow grease and they come out good. All right, now that the pins are clean, we'll go ahead and set them along with all my other parts over here. But now we got to get to work on the caliper. You can see a lot of crustiness in there. That's after only 10 months. So I just put it in a little pan here and I grabbed some S1000. But before I do that, I like to plug the brake fluid line hole with a plug so I don't get any kind of contaminants inside there. And that's just the way I do it. Some people like to disassemble them all the way, but I'll just grab some S1000, spray it down, then I'm gonna take this toothbrush and just get in there and start cleaning up. Okay, we've done a pretty good scrub on the whole caliper. Now you can see it's clean, and if you're asking yourself, why didn't you take out this clip when you're scrubbing it? Well, there's a good reason for that. That clip is not removable until the pistons shove back in, and you do not want to shove the pistons in when they're all dirty and gross because you can damage the seals. So what I do is I try to clean the pistons as much as possible first, and then now I'm going to go over and rinse this off with hot water and get it all off, and then we'll push the pistons in and take that little clip out and clean the caliper again. Okay, here we are at my basin. This is my favorite part. Watch this. This is super hot water. And I'm gonna get this caliper and watch what comes off this thing. Oh boy, look at all that. This is really hot water, and it evaporates really quickly, as you can see, just because it gets so hot. So I'll bring it over to the bench, and what we're going to do now, I'll wipe it down, and then we'll push the pistons in and get that clear. All right, before we push the pistons in, we got to take out my little plug, and that's so that the pistons, when you push them in, it has to push air out of here. So you'll flip this upside down, and then you'll see there goes 1, 2, 3, and you see that one's not quite clean, but we'll get it clean again. before. Now that we've got all these in, we can get this little clip out. All right, and now we are ready to clean the caliper once more and clean this clip. It's still kind of gross in a few spots. All right, we scrubbed, and now you can see we have much better access to every nook and cranny inside where the pads live. So I really scrubbed it well with a brush. I'll go rinse it off and bring it right back. And then we're gonna pop the pistons out using air compressor here. And we're gonna give them one final clean to make sure those pistons are as clean as possible. There's where we're at. You can see the bracket cleaned up really nicely. Looks like brand new again. And if you do this every year, you can maintain the condition of all these components to a like new condition for a long time. But once they deteriorate and get a few years without ever being cleaned, they never really go back. So, you know, this is what I like to do every year, at least just clean them. Every other year, I'll take the pistons completely out, remove the seals, and I'll clean the caliper inside and out. I'll reuse the seals if they're in good shape and lubricate them with the right brake grease. But for right now, what we're gonna do is we wanna pop these pistons out a little bit so we can give it another really good cleaning. And what I like to do is take the pads, 3 pads is about right. That's about the width of a rotor. Sometimes I use 2. I'll use 2 right now. But what I do is I just stick them inside. And before I go on, I have to go ahead and give a disclaimer and word of caution. For anyone that's trying this for the first time, this is very powerful. If you inject air into a caliper and those pistons are gonna come out like you cannot believe. So be prepared. I am prepared. I've got brake pads in there, and they are going to keep the pistons from flying out of the caliper. I don't know if I can do this one-handed while I hold the camera, but I'll try. I'll give you guys a sense of what happens. You don't need very much air pressure. You can see now I've got them all out. You saw I did it very kind of carefully. I definitely don't want to, you know, do anything drastic that shoots these pistons out, especially if there's nothing there to catch them. So I'm going to go ahead and do some more cleaning. Now that I have the pistons out and the bracket out, I'm going to go ahead and start doing the final cleaning, and then we'll button this thing up. There is the final cleaning, and here you go. You can see very pretty pistons now. The whole caliper is spick and span, looks good as new. And yeah, you know, if you think I am being inefficient, it's probably true. Being an aircraft mechanic, cleaning is one of the most important parts of maintenance for inspection and condition, visual inspections. So cleaning is a big deal, you know, and I enjoy doing it. Could I do this in a more quick manner? Probably. This is more methodical, I think, than quick. And at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to shove the pistons back. We're going to install the clip. We're going to install the pads. We're going to install the pins. And then the caliper is ready to go back on the bike and get bled. So let me get cracking and get to that point, and then we'll have both calipers ready to go, and we'll get this thing back in action. There's one item that I want to show as a tip after the pads are in, and you know, the pistons are going to be shoved into the caliper. And when you go to bleed it, it's going to be very difficult to get those pistons to move outwards. So my little trick is to install the calipers on the rotors, and then I'll use a little bit of air to push the pistons out and take up all the gap between the new pads and the rotor. So that way when I go to bleed it, it's gonna be much easier to get a firm lever. Anyway, I'll get going. I know this is long-winded, but hey, brakes are fun. And here we are. Caliper is all ready to bolt on. I want to note that I did go ahead and hit my rotors a little bit with some 320. I just try to knock the glaze off both sides, inside and outside of both rotors, and also take the opportunity to clean up the lower fork legs. You know, I usually, when I have the wheel off, go to town there anyways, but you know, every little bit counts. So now it is time to reassemble both cleaned calipers with new pads, put them on the bike, and then we will snap the pads against the rotors with some air, and then reconnect the brake lines and start bleeding. Now that the calipers are in, and oh boy, look at those brand new pads. Oh yeah. And what we're gonna do is take my air hose here and go ahead and squirt a little bit of air in here so you can listen to the pads go up against the rotor. That's it. That's all it takes. Just a little touch. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and let you watch the big gap here get closed once I inject a little bit of air in there. There we go. That's it. Not too bad. There we go. Brand new pads. Nice, pretty caliper, pistons. Everything is happy. And we're back to being whole. Bike is all together. Now it's time to fill it up full of fluid and pull some brake fluid through the lines. It goes pretty well. The Gale Speed master cylinder has a bleeder right on the master cylinder, which is nice. And I'll just use a Mighty Vac in conjunction with this Motive bottle with a check valve in it, and should make short work of this. But I think that's about it for today. You know, tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me what you do with your brakes. How often do you do them? Never? 5 years? I think Kawasaki says every 2 years you got to flush the fluid. And, you know, I don't know. It's all a matter of preference. My labor is pretty easy to put forth on the bike. So just the cost of some cleaning materials, and I needed new pads anyways. I smoked through them in 6,000 miles in 10 months. So I'm probably using too much brakes because I'm riding on the street a lot, but I figure on the track, we'll see, depending on which tracks I go to, how much I'll be hammering these brakes over the next year. But thanks for tuning in, and appreciate everybody following along, and stay tuned for more as we take the ZX-4RR to the track this coming week.